Hey guys, hope you're in for a good day. We're talking about 1 Peter and we're stuck on chapter 1 verse 17. And we've spoken about living as strangers. That's what Peter's telling us. He says, live as strangers in this world in reverent fear of God. Yesterday we spoke about what fear looks like in this context. We spoke about it's more about reverence than it is about shivering in the corner in fear. But learning to revere God for who He is, what He says, and what He stands for. Don't mess with Him. Don't play games with Him. Don't try and do it your own way. Don't try and bargain with Him. God will always have the final say. We revere those things. Now, I want to take you to the first aspect of what this verse talks about and spend a couple of days talking about what it looks like to be a stranger in this world. Now, this is not unique terminology. We see it all through the Bible. We see it being taught all through Scripture. Jesus spoke about the fact that people are not going to like us. People are going to treat us as outcasts. People are going to treat believers as people who they don't understand and therefore keep away from. But Jesus isn't the only one who spoke about these things. We see it how back in the Old Testament, the prophets that there were mainly outcasts. They were people who were stuck on the outside of society, and when people saw the prophets coming, they looked at them and said, oh, here's the strange guy, here's the wacko, here he is, he's coming to tell us a whole bunch of stuff that we don't want to hear, and they treated them as strangers. Nothing has much changed. Now, I know that in order to win the world, we need to be in the world, and we don't want to be wackos. We don't be regarded as those who are a little bit touched in their heads, because some Christians act like that. Some Christians take their Christian faith to a form of kind of, in the eyes of the world, this hyper activity, and people are very nervous about that. I'm nervous about that sometimes because we're in the world, we're just not of it. But there is an aspect of our strangeness to the world that we need to understand. Now, it's this understanding that the world does not understand. The world doesn't understand that when you become a follower of Christ, you don't rule your own life. God rules it. The world out there would like to force you into a box that they can understand you. The world out there believes in democracy, and democracy we must all think the same thing, do the same thing, believe the same thing. So they can put us into this little box so they can say, right, put a label in that box, we've got you, you are one of us. So when somebody comes along who doesn't bow down to that aspect of the prevailing wisdom of the majority, certainly as it relates to lifestyle and belief patterns, they will look at you with that 45-degree angle look and say, you look a little bit strange. Now, they do that to us because we have found the truth. Jesus told us that there will be two roads. The one is a broad road that many go on. It's the popular way. It's the way of the crowd. It's the way that most people will go. And then he says, but there is another path. And this is the one that leads to life. Only a few people walk on that. But they walk on parallel tracks. And they walk to their ultimate destiny. And the guys on the big road are looking at the guys on the little road and saying, what are you guys doing over there? That's not the place to be. You need to walk with us. Let's hang together. Let's do this thing together and arrive at our destination and in this togetherness thing. And the Christian has to stand against that to say, no, I will not walk the road that is most commonly walked. I walk the road that is not always popular. I walk the road that other people on the big road don't always understand. And so when we look at some of these things, we begin to see that we shouldn't be surprised about this kind of thing. In fact, Jesus tells us to expect it. Now, he says we need to expect this because of the different stand that we make on certain things. The greatest picture of this is Matthew 5, is it not? Where Jesus speaks about the Beatitudes. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are those who mourn over their sin. Blessed are the poor in heart, for they are humble. Blessed are the peacemakers. And Jesus looks at that and says, that's the lifestyle. The world is going to look at that and say, that's strange. Who would want to live like that? You mean there's no place in the world for me to force myself and to push myself forward? Apparently not. In the lifestyle of the Beatitudes, people are going to look at you and say, that's different. Now, I'm often confused by this because who would persecute somebody who's meek and kind and gentle someone who has the better of other people at heart, and yet the world will seek to do just that. You know why? Because they just don't get it. They just don't understand it. They just are afraid of something that is different to them. And they don't really hate you, you know that. When they persecute, put you as outcasts in different situations and to different extents in your life, it's because they don't understand the difference. And they don't understand this whole thing. And they're afraid of anything that is different. You look at nature, you see the same thing. You see those that are the same will keep together. Somebody different come in, oh my word, now you got trouble. They don't understand the difference. Now, when it comes to believers today, the Bible tells us to rejoice under persecution. The Beatitudes tells us they're going to persecute you not because they hate you, but they hate you because of the righteousness in you. It's your righteousness that is a problem to the world, and they hate that. They don't like righteousness. They would love to love you if you can conform to their norms and standards, but righteousness confuses the world, and they're afraid of the difference that righteousness makes. What do we do about that? We continue to live the righteous way. We grow. We learn to accept that persecution, name calling is going to be part of the deal, people. I don't like it as much as you don't like it, but that's what Jesus told us to expect and to, for some strange reason, rejoice at that particular point. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, but let's rejoice when people look at us and maybe say, well, that's a little bit strange. You know, they will do that. If you're living your Christian experience in a righteous way, that's to be expected. We'll talk some more tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.